Good afternoon and welcome to my final presentation for Business 343, Employee and Labor Relations. My name is Kelly Green and today I will be discussing grievance discussion case number 4, concealment of education on a job application, assuming the role of union grievance chairperson. This case can be found in our textbook, Labor Relations, Striking a Balance by John Budd. First off, assuming the role of a union grievance chairperson, it is important to note some key points to this case. Mr. Norbuck, up until his investigation, was for all purposes considered a good employee by Leach Industries. Acknowledgement of this is consistent with the fact that Mr. Norbuck successfully completed his probationary period with no presented issues. It wasn't until Mr. Norbuck became actively involved in his union strike that he became under scrutiny and was subsequently investigated. Mr. Norbuck is accused for falsifying his employment application because of an oversight when it came time to list his education and work history. Now, had Human Resources done the appropriate background check at the time of application, Mr. Norbuck would have been afforded the opportunity to explain this oversight or have not moved past his probationary period. However, none of his application was verified, and Mr. Norbuck was allowed a higher wage, seniority, and benefits once his probationary period passed. The error falls with Human Resources for not verifying his employment application at his time of hire, and Mr. Norbuck should be allowed to return to his position with seniority and all lost wages and benefits because Mr. Norbuck has conducted no poor performance or misconduct within his work and has continually been allowed to return to work after various layoffs. Now, the background on this case details for us that Mr. Jim Norbuck previously worked as a teacher and is college educated, but found that he could not get a livable wage within his field of study, and in turn came to Leach Industries. Mr. Norbuck, once employed by Leach Industries, passed his probationary period and was considered an active employee by Leach Industries. He was laid off when business hit a slowdown, but was recalled to work various positions until the same position he was hired for was open for employment again. All of these positions were part of a bargaining unit represented by United Steelworkers. However, on January 8th, the collective bargaining agreement between the United Steelworkers of American Local 55 and Leach Industries expired, and negotiators were not able to reach an agreement at that time, which led the union to go on strike. Now, during the strike, Mr. Norbuck was an active member who drafted pamphlets that were helpful in union members maintaining solidarity during the strike. The Assistant Director of Human Resources, Ms. Susan Napoli, came into possession of one of the pamphlets, and after hearing rumors that Mr. Norbuck was college educated, initiated an investigation into his background. After the strike ended, Mr. Norbuck returned to his position and met with Ms. Susan Napoli and the grievance committee chairperson to discuss the findings of Ms. Napoli's investigation. Mr. Norbuck was dismissed for falsifying his employment application, and after 3 meetings among the 3, no resolution was found, and in turn, grievance number 35 was filed, asking for Mr. Norbuck to be reinstated with full benefits and seniority as there was no just cause for dismissal. Now, it's important to note some relevant contractual elements within the collective bargaining agreement that note that during the probationary period, the company shall judge the fitness of the employee and be free to dismiss them for any reason. Also, that right to promote and discipline for just cause is the sole responsibility of management. So, according to the collective bargaining agreement, Mr. Norbuck, to be under investigation, his management would have needed to initiate that investigation. His management gave no indication that Mr. Norbuck was underqualified or overqualified to handle his position within the company, and reflected his work performance by allowing him to exit his probationary period successfully. His academic and personal achievements did not hinder the level of his work, and he shouldn't be denied the benefits of his work ethic because he is more educated than most of his peers. Now, had Mr. Norbuck lied about a past conviction on his employment application or listed qualifications for the position that he did not actually have, there would be a legitimate reason for dismissal because those are deciding factors during the hiring process. Mr. Norbuck simply didn't include the qualification he has for a job they are not relevant for, but listed all truthful facts that were relevant to the position that he was applying for. Mr. Norbuck hasn't engaged in morally questionable behavior in his time with Leach Industries and was for all purposes considered a good employee because of consistently being allowed to return to work after layoffs and strikes. Now, lastly, it's important to discuss the fact that dismissal for just cause is the sole responsibility of the management. Susan Napoli is not Mr. Norbuck's managing superior, who he reports to on a daily basis. She is the Assistant Director of Human Resources, but Mr. Norbuck's investigation was not called for because of his work ethic or misconduct, but simply because Ms. Napoli heard a rumor and was curious because of the pamphlet he wrote during the strike, and in turn found out that Mr. Norbuck was college educated. Ms. Napoli did not investigate anyone else but Mr. Norbuck, and he was singled out because he wrote a pamphlet. Who is to say who else in the company could be college educated? Who else to say that Leach Industries isn't employing criminals? If Mr. Norbuck's employment application wasn't verified at the time of his hire, then who else are they employing that they have never verified? If you aren't an active voice in the union during a time of strike, does that mean that you won't be investigated for dismissal reasons, even if you too have not been verified by the company? Now, moving forward, Mr. Norbuck should be reinstated to his position with full seniority and benefits, and it would be in the best interest of Human Resources to screen all future employees at the time of application in order to accurately verify their references and background. All current employees who have successfully completed their probationary should not be subject to future background investigations, as those should have already been completed and satisfied at the time of their hire. In conclusion, Jim Norbuck is a competent employee who, for all purposes, has excelled in the positions he has held within Leach Industries and should be allowed to be reinstated to his position. He is not an employee with poor performance, nor has he conducted in any way of his position to garner dismissal for misconduct. Leach Industries would be well suited to follow proper human resources protocol when hiring new candidates for employment and verify every applicant's background information.